Dr. Bhatty has a Ph.D. from Robert Morris University, Pittsburgh in Instructional Management and Leadership, MBA from IBA Karachi, BE from NED Engineering College Karachi, and a Certified Project Manager for PMI USA. Quite a diverse background, I must say, sir. Presently, he is a consultant at the Center for Innovative Teaching, Robert Morris University, and he's also an advisor for international content and outreach, American Center for the Study of Distance Education. In his session, he's actually going to introduce to all of us a teachers training program titled Art and Science of Teaching and Learning in Higher Education. What art it has become, sir, especially during the pandemic years. We have got to learn so much, and we would really love it if you would share your worthy experiences and your worthy insights with us. This course that Dr. Mansoor Bhatty is going to share with us is not only designed in line with international norms, but is also closely related and follows the QM, that is Quality Matters, Quality Rubric Guidelines for CPE courses. So good afternoon, sir, and welcome.
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning from USA, because it's like
it's morning there. Yes.
Yeah, it's almost 8:40, 8:45.
I'm sorry, my bad. I would again say good morning, sir, because it's morning in your part of the world.
Yeah, because it's good evening on in Pakistan, so that is fine. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is that this presentation is going to be like in two parts. There will be a short PowerPoint where I would try and sort of talk about the course, that has been designed by the Center for Teaching and Learning at UMT, and of course I was part of it. And then I will, give a short demo of the course itself to show as to what is there in the course and why is it so important that people should take it, and what advantages they'll get out of it. So this is how I'm going to do it. So let me share my screen. Can I share my screen? Do I have the right?
Yes.
Basically, let me start with a disclaimer. As I talk about the course, and because I'm very passionate about it, it might seem that I'm pitching this as the world's best, course on teaching and learning. But that is not the point. I mean, it's a good one, but I will not say that it's the best. I'm sure there are many better ones around that you may have seen. The second disclaimer is that, although it's for everybody in terms of age, learning has no age barriers. I'm a perfect example. I mean, I did my, I started my PhD at age 68 and I finished at age 71. So,
wow.
Learning has no barriers. And therefore, everybody can take advantage, but the course has been designed such that the younger people, people who have been teaching for 5, 6, 7 years,
okay,
and they're still willing to learn, and they are willing to compete, and they are still struggling to craft their teaching philosophy, because they still don't know exactly, what teaching philosophy they'll follow in line. So this will do, what this will do for them is it will give them that. So while there's a disclaimer that, everybody can take advantage, but I guess people who are the younger lot will take more advantage because they are easily, they want to learn and they're easy to teach. And as I said, this course will definitely, by the end of the course, you will be able to craft your teaching policy statement, which is the basic thing that you need to, the basic thing that you need to have in life if you want to continue teaching. The other thing that will happen with this course is by the end of the course, you will understand the concept of designing a course, because if you closely watch the course itself, it will show you exactly how you can design your own courses. So this can be used as a template by you for your own courses. The course has been designed keeping in view the fact that the people who participate, I won't call them students, but they are participants. They are not in the formal student-teacher relationship, in this course. So there is no teaching. Trust me, there's no teaching in the course. So then, what is it? What is happening here? Now, the course has been designed in such a way, that the course that you will have the participants are supposed to be co-constructors of knowledge, which means that if there are 25 participants and one teacher or one facilitator, in fact, there are 26 teachers and there are 26 learners. Then these co-constructors of knowledge use a process of co-generative dialogue, and that creates a community of learners. When that happens, the social learning practices or process comes into play. And when that happens, it supplements the cognitive capabilities of every individual to enhance learning outcomes. But then, you will say that, well, we've seen all this in many more courses and presentations. So what's the big deal about it? I mean, what are you trying to, showcase here? The thing that I'm trying to say is this, that the icing on the cake in this course is the element of teaching presence, not teacher presence. Many researchers are making this mistake of changing these two words interchangeably, using it interchangeably. It is not so. So the concept of teaching presence has been built into this course. And you can only have teaching presence in the course design and structure. If you don't do that, then you cannot really do much out of it. So basically, the teaching presence concepts that have been put into the course is the icing on the cake. Now, what this does is it helps the student never to feel isolated. I'm sorry, not the student, the participant, never to feel isolated. And the student keeps on interacting with the digital presence of the facilitator. Now, that is the big advantage that you will see in this course, which is different. And if you say, what the hell this guy is talking about? I mean, teaching presence and all that, these are all concepts, they're all words. But you have to trust me on this. Reason, my doctoral research was on teaching presence. And it was for online teaching, and which could be used for face-to-face as well. But it was also from the perspective of the teachers. So I know exactly what I'm talking about. So on this one, you will have to trust my PhD and sort of listen to me. Now, let's move on to the next slide. See, the reason we call this art and science, it used to be a science before, a pure science. You had summative assessment, you could grade the sort of exam, and then numbers would just pop up. You would sort of have other activities that would be measurable in terms of being obvious. And so it was more of a science. They were like straight facts, things to teacher and student. One emptying the bucket, the other taking it all in. But now it's more of an art. And the reason it's more of an art is, hold on, what is this? Okay. The reason that it's more of an art is because of these subjectivity items that are there. We are talking about deep learning. We are talking about conceptual learning. We are talking about developing critical thinking. We are talking about using discussion boards for people to be able to sort of create that social learning process, and to be able to then learn from each other, and as well as give their own views. We are talking about formative assessments for learning, of learning, as learning. So there are 3 types of formative assessment that are being used, which in overall is called the integrated assessment. And then there's engagement, for which there is no universal definition. So practically what you are doing is that you are having all these courses and all these subjects that you are taking, and they're all subjective. So therefore, this has now started becoming an art. So teaching is now an art. It's no more a science. And one has to understand the concepts of it being an art, and therefore, the importance of keeping on being trained in it and keeping on learning it. The question here is, Yeah. The question that you can ask is, why must you take this course? And I mean, for everybody. But as I said before, younger people are probably, more prone to learning about it. So that might be better for them. But the thing is that, as as it was said in the introduction, it is following international norms for such training.
Okay.
It follows the QM quality rubric guideline for such CPE courses, which means that it follows almost 42 elements of quality that goes into it. And although it is primarily an asynchronous 8 weeks self-paced course, but the self-paced does not mean that you can do everything in the last session. The self-paced is within each session. So that means it's a 1 week per session, 7 sessions, 8 sessions, 8 weeks. Session 1 is 1 week, so Monday to Sunday. Now, the reason for it being self-paced within the session is that the discussion boards have to be operated within the session. Now, if the discussion boards are not operated by all the participants in the session, then people are, and if it was self-paced in terms of, you can do it anytime you want, in 3 months, you do it in the last month or you do it in the first month, then how do you operate the discussion boards? How will the students, learn from each other in terms of, the social learning process? So therefore, within the session, it is, self-paced, but it's 1 week per session. And then you can sort of, and then, when I give the demo, you'll be able to see the, how it all works. And then the course allows you to do what? Interact, create, engage, and apply. If you'll observe, all these are verbs objectives. They're not noun objectives, they're all verb objectives. And that is very critical. And the next slide will show you what it is. Because, you have to, you interact with the content through related learning activities. You create a community of learners through interactive 2-track discussion board. And I'll show you why I say 2-track, because the discussion board has been created in a way where you can be critical, self-reflective, and you can create a co-generative dialogue. And you engage in deep learning through, with local and foreign practitioners. We have live sessions every Tuesday from America. We have from Jerusalem, from UK, from Palestine. So in those live sessions, people can interact. So that live session is the only synchronous part of it, of the course. And then we apply principles and methodology that are based on well-known international, Now, the 7 sessions that you will see in the course, they talk about 6 critical elements. We talk about communications, and this is 2 sessions. One is, just pure communications, effective communication. The other is, verbal and non-verbal. And then we talk about participation strategies. There's a session about critical thinking development, which is, if there's one thing that the participant need to take away from any course in any class, that is critical thinking development. Then there's a session on webinars, live lecture presentation, which is something which is a God-given opportunity for any teacher to be able to sell themselves, sell the course, and make sure that people are able to sort of take away what they want. And then the most important, there's a session on setting of course objectives as a foundation of a course. Now, I've reviewed many courses. I mean, not only through Quality Matters, I even do it on a personal level with universities. And I'm surprised, and you will be surprised, that in a lot of those courses, the objectives are not very clear, firstly. And then the objectives are not action-oriented. That means they don't start with verbs. Although it's been a long time that people thought that, when Bloom's taxonomy came up, and you'll see in the next slide. So, I mean, the objectives are not really the way they should be. They don't really motivate anybody, and they don't tell the participant as to why must the participant take the course, what will it do for them. And then the session is on differentiated instruction, the usage of which is very critical. Now, differentiated instruction is something like some people call it customized teaching, but it is something that, and if you look at the picture on the side, this is what it shows. That the shorter guy has been given a small stool to stand on it, but they are both holding the pencil at the same level. That is what is differentiated instruction. And that is what is important. Now, the two most important thing about this course that I can really say are something which I've not seen in too many courses, and I have seen a lot of courses. One is that we have ensured course alignment, and you'll see when I go onto the demo in the course itself that the course outcomes are linked to the module outcomes, or putting it the other way around. Every module outcome or every session objective is linked to at least one course objective, and it shows in the objective itself that this session objective 1 is linked to course objective 1 and 2. So you know exactly why you are as to the session objective there is a reason for the objective to be there, because it is linked to the course objective, which is the main thing that you are taking the course for. Similarly, you'll see that all the learning activities, all the learning assessments, all the learning materials, they are all linked to those course outcomes. So anything that the participant does or people do in any course, they know exactly why they're doing it, because they can link it back to the module outcome or session outcome, and then they can link it back to the course outcome. So it makes critical logic that is important for motivation and engagement. Then if you look at the Bloom's taxonomy, what happens is that the objectives, even look at this. In 1956, the original Bloom taxonomy was created. In 2001, they made a change from noun to verb. So it was so much important, they realized that unless the objectives are verb and action oriented, they don't really create any impact. But not only that, the other issue that comes up is that when you see, again, the alignment, the Bloom's taxonomy has higher order thinking and lower order thinking. Now, if your objectives are based on higher order thinking, but if your module objectives and your assessments and your materials and your activities, if they don't support the higher order objectives, then you again have a problem. So the outcome, the course objectives maybe higher learning objectives, but everything else that follows, the care has not been taken that those also support those higher learning objectives. And then again, that comes to a problem. And I've seen that as a very, very normal problem in not just CPE courses, in regular courses that teachers create for their students, that they do not really care about the course alignment, and then they don't care about the Bloom's taxonomy higher and lower order objectives, along with the course alignment, in every session. And that is important. And I mean, here in the universities, now they are trying to have, they have departments, separate departments basically, where all the courses are sent out for vetting. And the vetting is basically for these two things, course alignment and making sure that Bloom's taxonomy is something called, not called an audit, but it's something like an audit, to make sure that the course is good to go for the student. And many universities in USA are not doing this. But I don't think this is being done in Pakistan as yet. The last thing on the slide is, as I said before, that once we are done with the course, the last session is the crafting of your teaching philosophy statement. Some people find it very difficult to do so because they don't really understand from where to start and from where to go. And what does it all entail to have a teaching philosophy? What does it mean basically? But if you look at the slide, you will see that teaching philosophy is like a paradigm, which means it's like having colored glasses. Everything you see in what you are doing between yourself and the participant, or the teacher and the student, you are seeing it through colored glasses based on these 4 aspects of epistemology, ontology, methodology, and axiology. And what we have done there in the course, in the last session, where you will be asked to craft a teaching philosophy statement, We have given you 3 or 4 or 5 questions in each of these 4 headings. And when you start asking the questions, it will automatically start crafting your teaching philosophy statement. So that is how easy we have made it to be. Okay, now I need to get out of this, screen. How do I do that?
So you want to close the you can stop the screen sharing, or you can just
I think I can do that.
yes, and then share the screen again and choose the tab from which you actually want to give us the whole tour of the course.
Okay, now I am.
No, not this tab.
Sir,
Okay, here it is. Here
yes.
Yes.
Can
Yes,
you see it? Can you all
yes,
see it
sir.
now?
Yes, sir. We can see it clearly.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now see, now this is primarily the course that I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
And I'll just go through most of the things that are important. Ms. Zarnab is the other facilitator on the course, and she put in a lot of effort, but I believe she was not well, so I don't think she was able.
Yeah, she couldn't be here because of her illness.
But she did a lot of work on this course. Trust me. See, I mean, we all, and what we have here is that for every, for example, there's a program overview that which I sort of talk about it for 5-6 minutes and explain what is in the program. Then there's a course overview, which is right here. It's very easy to navigate. I mean, you see the tabs on the left. I mean, you can go to any session directly.
Any session directly.
Yeah, but
Sir, how many sessions are there in total?
There are total 8 sessions, but
8 sessions.
but 7 sessions are based on topics, and
Okay.
the 8th session, which I'll just show you, is the final project.
Okay,
and
sir.
that is the teaching philosophy statement that I was talking to you about.
Yes, that you talked about in the last slide.
Okay, now you see, these are the course objectives for the whole course. And as I said, it's an 8-week course. The more you put into the course, the more you will get out of it. That is very, very important to understand. I mean, if you really take it seriously, you will really learn something. But again, you'll not learn something because it's what is in it. You'll also learn something because of the interaction that you'll be able to have, from in the learning activity. Then I'll just show you what advantages that you can take out of it. So these are the 4 course objectives, and if you see that they all have action verbs: implement, develop, formulate, enhance. You see, so they're all action action verbs. So once you have the object, then this is the first session. Session 1 is effective communication is the key to all learning. Maximize it. So there's an overview, and then I have a 2 or 3 minute sort of message about this topic. Then if you look at the thing here, these are the session learning objectives. Okay, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Again, they're all action verbs: identify, manage, classify, and analyze. And each of these is linked to a course objective.
Course level objective.
Yeah, so so when you see, okay, this is my objective for session, as session objective 1, it is linked to CLO 1. This is linked to CLO 2, CLO 1, CLO 1 and 2. So now you know that these have a certain reason for being there. And if
so
you
basically nothing, no 2 objectives, whether they are on session level or course level, they are not exclusive. They are connected.
Oh yeah, they're absolutely connected, and they have to be connected. Otherwise, you sort of start wondering as to why.
Yes,
why,
exactly. Clueless, and one will lose the sense of direction.
Absolutely. Direction. Okay, then once you go ahead, now you see, look at the learning content. Now this learning content is like you got four things here in terms of 4 topics that you'll be looking at basically. And then if you look here, okay, see, now this was the first a learning content item: introduction to communication in classroom. Now this was session object. This is under session objective 1.1, but then it has its own unit level objective: 1.11, 1.12. So the unit level objective here is identify the purpose of communication. So this is one But this is linked to session objective 1.1, which you remember was linked to course objective 1.1. So now you know exactly why you are being asked to do this, because this unit level objective will lead to session level objective, which will then is then linked to course level objective. So there's no ambiguity or there's no loss of direction in anywhere or whatever you are doing. You know exactly what you are doing and why you are doing it. Okay, so we are doing. So I mean, and this is true for all of this. I mean, you can go to any of these. These will all give you the same thing. And then you have the learning activities. So this is very important. This is where your interaction comes up. This is where the facilitator comes up in between, and this is where things that you do. You self-reflect. You sort of you analyze. You develop critical thinking. And you do all that, and it is all based on the content that you have already done here. So all this is now linked to the learning activities, and see what the activities are. For example, you have been asked to analyze, evaluate, and critique a video. Now you will see the video, and then obviously if you have to analyze it, you have to evaluate it, and you have to critique it. You will pay attention to it. You will then think about it. You will self-reflect. You will sort of think what is good, what is bad, and then you will write a critique on it. Similarly, you will have an article. You will read it. You will analyze, evaluate, and critique the article, basically. And so when you do that, obviously you will read it with some concentration, because you have to analyze and evaluate and critique. And so it's not like just you can just sort of you can't scroll down like this, because then how do you do all the actions that you are required to do? And so basically, now if I go back, maybe I can go back here. No, I need to go back further here. I'm sorry, my IT skills are very, very primitive. At my, when I was growing up, there were no computers. So, okay, see now.
Sir, no problem at all. When I was growing up, there were many computers. I'm still technically challenged. So please don't worry.
Yeah, but then that's not good, because if you had computers, then you should be technical. But
yeah,
anyway,
so
okay.
My bad, but I'm just making you feel comfortable. Please don't feel bad at all.
I know.
You are perfect. You are doing perfect. You are doing a perfect job.
Thank you very much. Okay, now you see, when I said that you have to evaluate and critique the article, this is what you will be. I hope I open the right thing. You will be. Yeah, I think this is where you will be doing the. I think this is where you will write the.
Yes, sir. Submitting the assignment. Yes.
Assignment, and what it says. I mean, I'm not able to show you what it says. It basically says that if you agree with what is in the video or article, if not, why not? If you don't agree with what it is in the article, if not, why not? So that will be the technically.
Sir, if you would like to show us, you can just click the review button that was appearing there.
Let me see.
The one in blue. Review.
The one in blue.
Yeah, that is in blue, like kind of. Sir, up. Just under review, where grade, next to grade review is written. Under review, there's a blue review.
I cannot see it.
Yes, sir, right here, yes.
Okay. Yeah, you see, if you find it acceptable, please explain the rationale for the video. If not,
yes,
point out the weakness and suggest improvement. Now,
yes,
just for doing this, you will need time, you will need thinking, you will need analysis, you will need to understand what you saw, what you read in the content, and then you will try and put in something that that will be you, that will be purely your thinking, your analysis. And when 25 different people do the same thing, and when you put all of that together, the social learning angle, imagine the social learning angle of 25 people telling the same thing about the same video using their own background, their own knowledge.
But 25 different perspectives, sir.
Absolutely. So, I mean,
Yes.
just look at the collaborative learning that comes up.
Amazing, sir. Amazing.
Now, how do I go back?
Yeah, from here, yes.
Okay.
Then click it again. Yes, you're there.
Okay. Okay. Now, and same thing will happen with the article, just like video. But now look at the discussion
Okay.
board. This is very important.
Okay, sir.
Now, the discussion board is something. See, now here are the guidelines for the discussion board, which are pretty normal guidelines. But
Okay.
what is important here is that I want to, yeah, here. You see, the discussion. This is a two-track discussion board, and the reason I said that you should be in the session on a weekly basis is because the discussion on the discussion board will be taking place in that week. Otherwise, the problem is that 8 people are discussing session 1 in week 1, and 8, so let's say in week 2, and 8 people are discussing section 2 in week 2. And if you go to week 4, if you have 5 people doing, week 1, 5 people discussing week 2, then where do you have, the commonality? I mean, how does the interaction take place? How do people see what's happening? So therefore, it is very important to follow the weekly, the weekly schedule. Although it is self-paced, but don't stretch it to the point where you sort of misuse the word self-paced. It is self-paced within the session itself. Now, the 2 discussion boards that we have are again same thing. Very critical thinking and reflective. For example, one discussion board is about this. If given the opportunity, what changes would you make to this session content, learning activities, design, structure, and why? Clearly enunciate the value addition of your suggestion. So you see, you are being, and this is what you call the co-generative dialogue. You are asking the participant to open up and say, this whole thing is nothing. It's what they call BS or whatever you want to call it. This is nothing. I mean, why didn't you do it like this? If I was you, I would do it like this. So this will again 25 people, trying to analyze the session that they are right now into. That is something that really helps critique and learn, and it helps everybody. The second track on the discussion board is the personal opinion one. Now, what we have done here is it open? Okay. It says, based on your experience, observation, share an incident where efficient communication, because this is session 1, and this will change for what the topic of the session, where effective communication or lack of it dramatically altered the outcome. What would you have done differently to further improve the outcome? So you see, now you are involved in it based on your experience. Everybody has different life experiences. So imagine when people with different life experiences talk about effective communication and they give examples of what happened to them, what they did or what they did not do, and how that how that damaged them or helped them. So imagine the learning thing that comes up during the session, and that is why it is very important that these courses are not these courses should not have hundreds of participants at one time, because then there's no way you can manage all that. 25, 30, 40 participants maximum should be part of the course, because then all this can be managed, and then the real advantage can be taken from courses like these, which are interactive, which are reflective, which have critical thinking. Now I can go back. Let's see. Okay. Now see, so these are the learning activities that we have. Then we come to the live sessions. So we have these people, in every session has one person, one foreign faculty that talks about the topic, and then there are question answers, and then they share their slides. The session is recorded and the slides are shared. But if you are not part of the live session, then you are losing the opportunity of question and answers. That is what you lose basically. So my suggestion is that you be part of the live session, ask question and answers, get answers, and then so because this is the only synchronous session that you have in the whole course. Once after that, then we have additional resources there. There's a long list of articles that you can read, and I suggest the additional resources are meant for use during the session itself. These are not resources that you can, copy and paste and say, okay, fine, I'll, once I'm done, I'll look at them at my time. These are articles that will help you in the learning activities that you will do. So therefore, it is important for you. I'm not saying go to read all of them, but pick 3, 4, 2 or 3 or 4 of them, depending on your reading speed and the time that you have, and then use that and sort of supplement this with the learning content that we have, and then use these for the learning activities. And as I said, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And the reason I said that the younger people will probably get more benefit because they're more hungry to learn this. Not, I mean, no offense meant to the older people, but what happens is that after you have taught for 25 years, probably something like I don't know, it starts setting in that what do I need to know now? I mean, but at my age, I told you, at age 68, having been there all my life, I decided to learn something. So, what happened?
Nothing happened. You need to just extend your session. You can log in again.
Yeah, I think I just did that.
You logged out. Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Okay, so no, I think I got it wrong.
You are in the course. You just
no. This is not the right one.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Why should I log out? I mean, I'm.
Yeah, they're already saying. Did you open 2 tabs or something?
Yeah, probably. I think I.
If they are saying log out, then you just say cancel.
Yeah. Okay,
yes, it is here.
I got it, yeah. Okay.
Just close that other tab, sir.
The
next one. Yeah, it is next, right next to this, where it is written University of. Yes, this one. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Now you can continue.
Okay, so we've done the session. And I showed the resources. And same thing happens. The second session is art and science, art and science of verbal and non-verbal communication. The reason we have this as a separate thing is because we all know that more than 50% or maybe 70% of communication is, a non-verbal communication, and that is very important. So the same thing happens here, same format. I mean, I have a 2-minute talk on it. Then you have the learning objectives. Okay, you see, you have got 3 learning objectives. Now this is to ASTLHE 2.1, recognize, identify, describe. They're all, action verbs. This is linked to CLO 1 and 4, CLO 1, CLO 1 and 2. So you know exactly why you are doing it. The learning content, again, the same thing. You have all the activities here. Then you have the learning activity. Okay. Now, the thing that you need to do is that the way this has been done is that unless you have completed the session 1 discussion board, you will not be able to get onto the session 2 discussion board, which is logical because they all follow a sequence and there's a reason for it. So therefore, it is not available till the session 1 grade discussion board is not complete. So please keep this in mind. I mean, don't sort of miss the opportunity because then you'll not be able to do the next session. The learning activities, same thing. I mean, we've got the discussion board and then the video and then an article, and then along with that, then the live session, additional resources. The third session is participation. The participation strategies are tools to maximize learning. This is also obviously critical because unless you can have the people participate, for the teachers, if the teacher cannot create participation in the class, and then this talks about all the different types of participation. Same format, everything the same. Now this has 5-6 learning objectives: illustrate, classify, identify, explain, evaluate, indicate. All action verbs. You're all linked to some one or the other course level objectives. The learning content is again different things. You have the learning activities are the same. You have a video, you have a article to critique, and then you have a graded discussion board. Now the discussion board here, each discussion board is 2 track.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir. Got your point. We have you. Thank you so much for such a comprehensive kind of, tour of the course. I think it's really well developed, and each and every step and objective that you shared with us, it has been brilliant to see it. And I'm really impressed with the kind of work that you
This
and
is,
Mr. Nav had done.
this is the final project where what I was talking about.
Okay,
This is
okay,
where,
sir. Okay,
this is where we have all these, the things that
okay,
you
sir.
can sort of, and this is where you
Okay.
can ask the questions. Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, I'm technically I'm done basically,
Okay, okay, sir. So anything else, sir, you would like to add?
No, I mean, all I'm saying is that that the teachers which should register for this course, people should really take advantage of it.
Sir, yeah, I think whatever you guys have developed, the way you showed each and every session to us, I think it's like a kind of a huge help for all the teachers who are like new to the field and they would like to actually figure out what is going to be their teaching style.
Right.
Sir, thank you so much for your time. And I have one question from one of our participants, Miss Isha, that is, do you think defining course objectives will have a similar effect on primary level pupils?
Well, it will, but not that much, because all these are basically, for higher education, where people are able to understand the objective. At a primary level, the participant or the student is not really able to understand the objective. So therefore, trying to explain to them, that part is really not that helpful. But I mean, but if you go into, let's say, in high school, which is, like, in our case, like, in grade 11, 12 maybe, but definitely, at the college level, where students are able to understand what they need to do in life and where they are going, and what will happen to them if they learn something or if they don't learn something. Because unless you see, the buy-in, the concept of buy-in is very important. If the student does not buy into your objective, and if your course objective do not, are not in congruence, or they don't resonate with the student's objective, then the student will not really have the advantage. So
Thank
first,
you so much.
so that is
Sir, I
what
think,
is important.
yes, I hope, Ms. Isha, your question has been answered. Now, sir, there's a question from Mr. Yusuf Tafim, who is asking that are the assessments graded according to the course's learning objectives? If yes,
Yes,
then how?
yes, they are. You see,
Okay.
firstly, what is most important is the type of assessment that you have for achieving a certain objective. I'll give an example. For example,
Okay.
if the objective of a course is to teach people to become public speakers, but the assessments are a multiple choice quiz, and the assessments are writing an article about how to speak and what is good and what is bad speaking. So those are not the assessment that are the right assessment for that objective. The assessment for that objective could be a small multiple choice quiz, which would basically be to make sure that the people understand the basis of it. But then the main assessment are going to be actual talks that they will give to the class, or they will give to a larger gathering, or they will record a talk, and then they will sort of showcase a talk. So those objectives have to be, in line with, those assessments have to be in line with the objective. Now, when you are assessing something, the idea of having higher order thinking is more important. So what you're looking for is whether the person has been able to showcase what the objective started from. So suppose there is one, as I said, one course objective, which is to be good at public speaking, and then in that there's a one session objective, which is, let's say, the poise, or your attitude, or the way you sort of, your gesture, your non-verbal attitude. Now, in that session objective, you will have, eyes and eyes contact and hand movement and body gesture. When the person does the actual project, and record the public speaking talk, you are able to then judge that person according to the session objectives, and then those link to the course objectives. So alignment is extremely important all the way through, from course to session to activities to content to assessment.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for explaining the whole process to Mr. Tafim. And once again, I would like to pay our gratitude to you from everybody at UMT and UMT-CONNECTED and DELS. Thank you so much for taking out time from your very busy schedule to actually present the course and be a very prestigious speaker at APOES 3.O. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.